urging their supporters to go in large numbers to monitor the polling centers on false claims of election fraud. There is no evidence of voter fraud, but some politicians are using the propaganda to incite violence based on these false claims. Honorable Ministers, we have since addressed the security gaps about what happened during the violent riots and demonstrations of the 18th November last year. And now we have a multi-layered security response of patrol groups on foot, motorcycles, and patrol vehicles. We have practiced active drills on several scenarios, including violent riots, radical youth groups, cyber harassment, clashes between rival groups, and so on. I would like to assure the whole country that whoever foments trouble will regret why his or her mother gave birth to him or her. That's what I want to repeat it. Whoever thinks will cause anarchy in this country will regret the consequences. We have meanwhile been encouraged by a number of stakeholders, from religious leaders, musicians, media, security personnel, that have released statements committing and reaffirming peace and safety, and further condemned acts of incitement to violence. We are therefore committed to working collaboratively with other stakeholders to manage all threats and liabilities. This is key to protection of every person's right to vote and maintain confidence in a safe, secure, and accurate election. Like always, we pledge to remain transparent and vigilant to combat all the threats against the electoral process. We shall harvest whoever attempts to violate the laws of this country. We shall harvest them and act firmly and stringently within the laws of this country, honorable ministers. I thank you for listening to me. The press can't clap. they are not with us. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our program, may I take this opportunity to make a remark?
Is there one of please? So I just thank you very much, my colleague, the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, the IGP, Inspector General Police, and the Deputy Inspector General Police, the Commissioner General Prisons, the Deputy Commander Land Forces, and other distinguished leaders of our security forces who are present, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank my colleague, the Minister, for presenting this opportunity, and the IGP for organizing this forum, as usual, to exchange our ideas and also to demonstrate to you and to the country the state of preparedness of the security sector in securing the right of Ugandans to vote for leaders of their choice in the coming election, which will be taking place next week. Our observation is that during the campaign, there has been an impression that that there is a vacuum. So some people have been behaving as if there is no government. And I would like to dispel that notion, because even during campaigns, even during elections, the state is functional. The state is functional. The executive arm of government, the judiciary, are all functional. They are doing their job. The security agencies which are part of the executive arm of the state include the police and the army and auxiliary forces are active to ensure that the elections take place as scheduled, because elections are scheduled by the Constitution. The timetable is known to all Ugandans, and they take place not only as scheduled but also in a peaceful, transparent, free and fair manner. And that is why you had the Inspector General of Police informing you that some time ago, the security forces, the police, the army, and other sister security agencies have been preparing for this period. And that is why he did say that there is in place a security master plan, a security working group to make sure that these elections take place in a state of peace and stability. Therefore, the duty of the state is to keep law and order, irrespective of whether we are in a campaign or not. In the recent past, you members of the media and indeed the public might have witnessed very unfortunate incidents perpetrated by some leaders of the opposition, I must say. We have seen images of protesters hitting at police officers with hammers, hitting at a police officer with a hammer by a member of the opposition. This is, of course, criminal, but we have seen those images taking place. We have seen some rioters undressing women, the women of Uganda, purportedly because these women happen to be dressed in yellow, the NRM uniform. We think that is criminal and unacceptable. We have seen some people vandalizing and smashing vehicles with NRM stickers, which is wrong and criminal. We have seen rioters erecting roadblocks, illegal roadblocks, along major highways such as Kampala Masaka, Masaka Mbarara, Kampala Gulu, Kampala Fort Potro, Kampala Jinja, and so on. We have also seen images of rioters attempting to set vehicles on fire. Rioters mounting roadblocks to prevent the movement of vehicles. And at roadblocks, we have received information that some of these rioters, especially those who belong to NUP, have been extorting money from passengers in order to allow them to move. This is really unacceptable, especially under this system we have. And we understand this is part of the wider scheme by some elements in the opposition to cause violence during and after elections. Now the question which arises, should police or even the army, which are mandated by law to secure the country, should they fold their hands and look on when women are being assaulted, when roadblocks are being staged, when people are extorting money from Ugandans? We think that Ugandans deserve the full protection of the state, and that is why the state has deployed both the police and the army to ensure that there is peace and stability during and after the elections. I would like to say that our army, the People's Army, Uganda People's Defense Forces, enjoys the trust and the confidence of Ugandans. Whichever action they take will be lawful, but we know for sure that the Ugandan public has a lot of trust in our security forces, and therefore they have a duty to keep law and order. I would like to say, just like the IGP said, that in my view it is criminal to prepare for violence in anticipation. There are people who anticipate to lose the election, and because of that they are preparing violence. That means even before the election takes place, people are already anticipating loss and preparing violence. This is not proper in a democracy, and it is illegal. And I would like to say that we must all follow the constitutional path. If somebody loses an election, the Constitution has an answer. If you have complaints, you can present these complaints to the court of law. But even before the election is held, if you feel there is unfairness, you can report to the police. There is nothing that prevents any candidate or any member of a political party to report to a police any act of wrongdoing. But the constitutional path is for you to petition. You will recall, those of you who were around in 1996, we had an election. Some people did not agree with the outcome. They went to court, and the court took a decision and upheld the President Yoweri Museveni as the elected leader. That was 1996. The same happened in 2001. 2006 it happened. 2011 we had no petition. Everybody was satisfied with the outcome of the election. 2016 we had one petition, and that petition was decided and closed. So we think that should be the way we should conduct our politics, following the rule of law. To the youth of Uganda, I would like to say that you, the youth, you have the highest peace dividend from the work of the Uganda Police and UPDF, because you are the biggest beneficiaries. You are beneficiaries because the NRM has created opportunities for you to grow and participate fully. Because in the past, it was probable for a youth to grow properly and also exercise your rights. But the NRM has put in conditions to make sure that the youth can exercise their rights. As we elect national leaders, the youth structures are also active. The youth are electing youth councils at all levels, within their political parties and even at the national level. So the right for the youth to participate in politics is available and unhindered. We therefore do not see the need why anybody should mislead our youth and lure them into violence. You should not allow any person to exploit your youthful energy to engage in unlawful activities, because as the IGP said, the consequences will definitely not be good for your future. To the business community, our colleague, the Minister of Security, has already met the business community representatives and our investors. I would like to say that one of the safest and secure investment destinations, as you know, in the whole of this region is Uganda. The security forces, including UPDF, will be deployed. And as you heard from IGP, they have been preparing. They will be deployed during and after elections to protect your businesses and investments, including the tourism sites, will be fully protected. So there is no need to panic. The election will take place. The election will end in accordance with the verdict of the people. And because of the preparedness of our security forces, there will be no violence, and you will be allowed to continue with your investments, and your businesses will continue to thrive. I wish to use this opportunity to thank our President and Commander-in-Chief, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for nurturing the security institutions which we have in Uganda today. And I would like to say that he has been and will continue to be a leader by example. He has been the only candidate in my assessment that has observed all the SOPs relating to COVID-19 in this election and campaign, right from the beginning of the campaign up to now. And I would like to appeal to other candidates and other politicians really to follow the example the President has showed us. Because of his track record as a freedom fighter, it is my view that he should continue to be entrusted with the leadership of this country. I would like to comment very briefly about the action some of our candidates have taken, and in particular, the presidential candidate for NUP, Honorable Kyagulanyi, for having evacuated his children from Uganda, allegedly because their lives are under threat, I don't know from who, but I would like to say that this is not the first time that candidates are standing in Uganda, even during the NRM regime. We had candidates who stood in 1996, they had families. Mzee Semogere has a family here, he stood, and he's still living in Uganda. Nothing happened to him, and nothing happened to his family. In 2001, there are a number of candidates who stood. They stayed in Uganda, and they are still in Uganda with their families. 2006, the same happened. 2011, the same happened. 2016, other candidates stood against the president and lost, and they continue to stay in this country, and their families, and their children, and grandchildren, and their relatives. It has never been the policy of the NRM government to harm opponents or even to revenge against opponents, including those, by the way, who are captured in combat by UPDF. That is why NRM created the amnesty law, even to forgive those who renounce rebellion and decide to settle in their country. So if government can forgive those who engaged in armed rebellion and give them amnesty, why should anybody fear for his life just because you have exercised your right to stand as a candidate? So I think it is not correct to allege those fears which are unfounded, and I would like to again invite all these candidates to settle down. Their families will be safe, and whatever comes out of the election should be respected by everybody. There is a notion in Uganda, and this notion is not new, of people sometimes declaring themselves as winners of an election. It has happened before. An election is held, the votes are counted in broad daylight. The winner is supposed to be declared by the Electoral Commission. And all of us, including the security forces, will be waiting for the word of the Electoral Commission. It is the only body that is empowered by law, by constitution and the law, to arbitrate over the election, conduct the election, and finally declare who the winning candidate or the losing candidate will be at all levels. And all candidates must accept the decision of the people as communicated by the Electoral Commission. And as I said, whoever does not accept the outcome, the only channel available is the courts of law. Not going in a certain place, and then you gather people and you say, I have declared myself the president of Uganda. You cannot. That is illegal, it's unconstitutional, and the security forces certainly cannot allow a state of anarchy where people just declare themselves winners. So I would like to, right from the beginning, really advise those who have these plans not to repeat them because they do not work. The winner of the election will be declared by the Electoral Commission, and the public should also ignore such a characters who just declare themselves against the will of the people. So my appeal is that let us stay calm. Ugandans will pronounce themselves, and as the IGP has mentioned, the security sector, all the security organs of the state are ready and very ready to make sure that the rights of all Ugandans in this campaign period and during and after the election are secured. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, my colleague. Let me move this mask so that you may hear me more loudly. My colleague, the Minister of Defense,
and Veteran Affairs, the Inspector General of Police, Commissioner General of Prisons, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Deputy Commander, Land Forces, and other officers here present. The press. First and foremost, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you here. And I would like to thank Ugandans for having had a peaceful Christmas celebrations 2020. And I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome you and to wish you a wonderful 2021. After the remarks, welcome remarks by the Inspector General of Police and those wonderful remarks by my colleague, my duty now is really to summarize for us all what the situation is and what is in place for all of us. But before I do so, the situation we are in, speaking last after my colleagues, I am reminded of a situation that happened in one of the electoral areas in 1996. At that time, there were about 11 candidates vying for one to represent that area. At that time, all of them would together go and try and convince the electorate. So there was a challenge, who would speak first and who would speak last. So they drew lots. Now, 1, 2, up to number 10. So the candidate spoke 1, 2. Now, when it came to the candidate number 10, I want to paraphrase what he said. He said, all the good remarks those who before me spoke have said are also mine. But the bad ones are theirs. So in the same vein, I would like to associate myself with the remarks of the Inspector General of Police and my colleague, the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs. As I do so, I want, first of all, as I said, to welcome all of us to the year 2021. But as we enter this year, I want us to remember two important things. One, we enter 2021 still under the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas the prospects for a vaccine are now very promising, we still do not have a vaccine here. It is not yet available. Neither do we have a dedicated medicine for treating coronavirus. Under these circumstances, therefore, our protection and survival depends on, one, some level of protection by way of wearing masks, by a way of regularly washing our hands, and if possible, sanitizing them, and by way of keeping a distance of at least 2 meters from one another. The second thing I wanted to say is that as we enter 2021, we must note that we are at the tail end of our electoral process, which for the presidential candidates and parliamentary candidates will culminate on the 14th of January this year. That is next Thursday. Now, in the course of campaigns for these elections, quite a number of candidates, especially presidential candidates, and some of their agents have made comments and have acted in a manner that is tantamount to threatening peace and good order. These utterances and actions consequently have caused concern and to some extent worry to a number of citizens. Citizens now fear that come January 14th and or immediately after, their lives and property might be threatened. Having listened to my colleague, the Minister of Defense, and having listened to the Inspector General of Police, I would like to take this opportunity to assure all Ugandans that your lives and property will be safe. It is the constitutional duty of government to ensure that your lives and property are protected. I want us to remember that the elections have not come upon us just like that. Indeed, as the Inspector General of Police did point out, we knew all along that we would have these elections this time. It's like when you're having Christmas, you know at the end of the year there will be another Christmas. Similarly, we have been aware that we are going to have these elections this time. Therefore, police and all other security agencies have been preparing and building capacity to ensure that we shall have peaceful elections and peace after elections. Let me take this opportunity once again to encourage all Ugandans to desist from any form of violence. I can assure you, you who think in that direction of causing violence, that you do not have enough means to cause violence. And it might be extremely detrimental for you to attempt to do so. So it is only good manners not to try to do what you know you cannot accomplish. Don't even attempt. In conclusion, I want to take this opportunity to wish Ugandans and all of us peaceful elections and a secure environment thereafter. Because as I have pointed out, we are prepared, it is our duty, and we will take all the trouble to ensure that Ugandans will vote under a peaceful environment and they will remain thereafter in peace and harmony and in a lawful environment. I thank you, colleagues. I thank you, countrymen, for listening to us. As the protocol did indicate, I think we can invite a few questions, and through those questions, my colleagues will be able to explain further some of the points that we may not have adequately covered. Thank you very much. Inspector General of Police.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Before you invite me, I have a question. I will request perhaps
Sorry, my omission. No, sorry for my omission. Sorry for your omission. Sorry for my omission. Let me take this opportunity to invite my colleague, the Commissioner General of Police, to tell us how prepared he is in case we misbehave.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, and the Minister of Defense, Inspector General of Police, and your functionaries, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of as of December 31st, 2020, I had 60,000 prisoners in custody. Coming from 66,000 about 2-3 months earlier. But the judiciary has been working tooth and nail to make sure that these numbers get reduced, which we are, as an institution, we are very grateful about.
But do you need more?
Honorable Minister, we cannot be fools. We have space. I would say of about 30,000. In other words, we are occupying 200%. But this is a prison, and we have what we call congestion management measures to make the stay in congested facilities, but still retain your health and vigor. Honorable Minister, we are used to such an environment whereby you find there is an upsurge of prisoners' population, especially after the elections. But I want to assure everybody that we shall accommodate however many people are thrown at us. You will recall that after the riots in Kampala, several arrests were made, and I ended up with a total of 578 in the soup. You know, that was quite challenging, but we managed it. We managed to do that. And I want to praise the cooperation we have with the police and the military to come to our rescue sometimes when we meet challenging circumstances. That's why I'm not making a lot of noise. And there are not very many people having a problem with the Uganda Prison Service. Honorable Minister, on Monday this week, we received some suspects in Masaka, and as per our handling of new entrants, because we don't want them to mix with the old ones, we collapsed Masaka Saza prison, and that's where we got these suspects. We got them on Monday. On Tuesday, we got a production warrant. We had not yet even admitted them in our prison books. But we negotiated, and first of all, admit them. Admission is a wrong process. We measure your weight, we measure your height, we record whether there is any injury on you. And 99 at a go was quite a number. But eventually, on a production warrant yesterday, it was served to us, and I think half of them were released. I had taken into Masaka 2 buses to ferry the prisoners to court. If you recall, when they came in, they traveled by lorry, and it was quite a huraburu on the social media. But I think only 50 got bail. The other 50 were, we got another production warrant to produce these people in the general court martial. And so about 50 of them were brought this way to attend that type of court. For your interest, I have only 2 NUP suspects. And these ones are still with us because they have not fulfilled the conditions of bail that were prescribed by the chief magistrate in Masaka. A lot of people have been saying that we have in custody people unlawfully. That one cannot happen with the Uganda prison service. We had documents, we did our work and executed it professionally. I want also to wish people a peaceful election. Honorable Minister, as you are aware, we are part and parcel of this most important activity. It is my staff who are dispatching election materials to the various districts. Actually, they are almost interned. There are over 100 staff of prison service. And we shall continue to function. So, Honorable Inspector General of Police, you don't get worried about space. If the worst comes to the worst, the law empowers the Minister of Internal Affairs to create a temporary prison so that the numbers are accommodated. We shall go to any length to make sure that we meet our obligations. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Press, for listening to me.
Thank you, CGP. Members of the press, I know you may be very anxious because of further clarification. But I wanted to take this opportunity to ask the Deputy Inspector General of Police, who actually oversees operations, to just say 1 or 2 things which may preempt some of the questions you may wish to ask. So at this juncture, let me ask the Deputy Inspector General of Police just to make a few remarks.
Thank you very much, sir. The Minister of Internal Affairs, Honorable Minister of Defense, my boss, the IGP, Commissioner General of Police, Deputy Commander Land Forces, and officers present. Sir, we have been working around the clock to ensure that we prepare, to ensure that we deliver a very peaceful election. And that has been our task in the last few months and days. We are on the ground. All preparations have been made, and we expect to give in our best. We expect also the population to cooperate with us as we shall be delivering, doing our duties. We are cooperating with all the sister security agencies within the country to ensure that we have a very peaceful election. You also know, sir, that there has already been threats, which is uncalled for. When leaders are at their best, leaders inspire many and they mentor many. But when they are at their worst, they incite violence. So this is uncalled for, and we don't really expect it to happen. However, I would like to echo again, re-echo what my bosses have said. Sir, we shall not accept any disorder and chaos in the country. Nobody will shake our resolve, and you know we are a very resilient force. We have a very agile team that can adjust and adapt to any threats. We also know that no country in the world is immune to some of these challenges. Even the most democratic countries in the world are not immune to riots and lawlessness. It is therefore the task of the security forces to ensure that we will secure the state, and that is going to be our responsibility. We only appeal to the population to cooperate with us during this election period, and also after the elections. The Electoral Commission has given us guidelines, sir, that we should not accept mass assemblies around the polling centers. And this, we want to put it very, very clear to everybody. You need to vote and go home. Of course, they have guidelines about the agents, the few agents which are supposed to be there to represent their parties. But any act of hooliganism within the polling stations will always not be acceptable. So, Honorable Minister, we are prepared and coordinated, and we expect to deliver a peaceful election. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether my brother Kahuma want to make a few remarks before we invite the press.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, Honorable Minister of Defense, the Inspector General of Police, Commissioner General of Prisons, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, and other colleagues, and you, the press. I don't have much really to say. My speakers have said it all, and our statement is one and the same, and that is to give the people of Uganda hope and to assure them of security and peaceful election. Maybe what I can add for purposes of emphasis is that we've been receiving information and intelligence that our people, some of our people are scared because of the narratives that have been put into the minds of Ugandans. Like the Inspector General of Police did say, even before voting, some people are declaring themselves as the winners. And therefore that means the announcement that is contrary to what they have already put out would mean cheating, you know, and that causes a lot of problems. So because of those, therefore, we get information that some of our people are scared, and some have actually started leaving the places where they registered from, where they are supposed to vote from, going to the villages. Now that one is really not good, because Ugandans are supposed to exercise their constitutional rights in choosing the leaders of their choice. So our appeal is that the people of Uganda should know that they are secure. We are here to secure them. They should stay where they registered from and wait for voting. The other one connected to this is that Ugandans should know that this is not the first elections we are going to have.
And certainly it is not going to be the last one. I think if I can recall well, we have had, I think, 8 general elections, if you include CA and the referendum. These elections have come and gone, but Uganda has stayed, and it will always stay. We therefore, and even in some of those elections, they took place when Uganda was not fully secure. You remember some of the places, like in northern Uganda, there are areas that were not really easily reachable. But the security, the police and UPDF facilitated the process. And the people of Acholi and Lango voted and made their choices. So we want to appeal and assure our people that we are here to do exactly that. We are going to secure these elections like you have secured other elections before. So our people should not be scared by any utterances, any threats. We are here to discharge our mandate, and that is of protecting them. So that is what I thought I would do. We did that, for your information. We secured all these elections in bad times when we were not as better prepared as now. Like the Inspector General put it, we are better prepared and our people should feel secure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, General. Maybe at this juncture, I can now ask if the press has got 1 or 2 questions for us to clarify. Maybe we'll take it this way. We'll take 1 or 3 or 4 questions. The person will announce who he is, which media house he represents, then ask the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. So we shall have the first batch. Number 1, so let's ask. Number 1, then 2, 3, and 4. Those are the first set of questions. And if a question has been asked, let's not repeat it. The only moments I said only 4. So it can't be the matches.
Should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Period.
You know, I am trying to limit because I am actually supposed to drive all the way to Pumi for a rally at 2 in the afternoon. So I have to start the journey early.
My first question, there is still continued target on the media.
Who are you?
I'm Sudim Yaranga from AG. The security continues to target media whenever there are protests or whenever there are campaigns before it. We would like to know from security, what assurance do you have or do you give the media that we get close to the polling day, that they will continue to exercise their mandate and duty in a secure environment, because you're the ones meant to protect us, but you end up hurting us in many occasions. My last question is, there are continued arrests of people. You hear so and so has disappeared. They pick up security. And some of the people do not know where these people, suspects, are taken. And you're talking of keeping law and order, and even observing the rule of law. It would be paramount that security you give details of why you've arrested someone and where they are, so that the relatives know. And then the rest, the matters take course. And also finally, we would like to know, are you as security apologizing for the past mistakes that you made, especially with the kind of iron fist you fomented against the journalists in the previous operations? Or you're saying you have nothing to say about that, so you don't care?
Thank you. Number 2, in that order, let's try to answer the question.
My name is Ivan Kava. I work for UBC TV.
We have witnessed a police officer who shot at the Electoral Commission security detail vehicle of Patrick Amriat, and we also saw security officers exchanging before the motorcade of Number Mau. I wonder what picture as the security agencies do you get in this regard, and how are there parallel orders when police meets the security details for presidential candidates? Then lastly, Major General Okech has been a victim of a paradox account on Twitter that is communicating on his behalf, even calling a night. When you look at the state of propaganda, mostly harmful propaganda, there are pictures that were shared, those that have issues that happened in 2013 during attacks in Kenya, saying it is the Kalangala scenario. These pictures continue to be on social media. As security, is there any form of assurance you give to people that you have the capacity to handle the issue of social media and how you prevent the harmful propaganda from becoming a problem in this country? Thank you so much.
Question number 3.
My name is Patrick Senyondo. I work with NTT. My question goes to the Commissioner General of Prisons and the Commander of Armed Forces. Like you said, we understand people who were arrested in Kalanga were supposed to be produced in court yesterday, but some of them were diverted to Kalanga. So we'd like to know under what circumstances that happened, and people were not produced from the other court, and instead came to Kampala. Then we also understand that they are supposed to be produced to the court martial. And what circumstances are civilians supposed to be produced there? Thank you.
Thank you. The last question was number 4.
My name is Joseph Kato. I work with Uganda Radio Network. Two of my questions go to the Minister of Defense. The question is, you said people, some of the presidential candidates have already cast it out of the results of the outcome of next year's voting. Meaning
There are other charges on them.
could be the source of the violence. Don't you think that these people have the fear based on the security
charges that
being made by security command and
to court martial.
Sunday, who clearly said
Their
we
cases
cannot handle
related.
and what action
Their cases
as Minister of
related
Defense did you take against that?
to state creating state violence and things.
Can we know how far
Namaka
the
says,
security,
yeah.
who are the security here and the minister, how
What do
they
you do with such?
22 innocent they killed people because they were 54, but in Korea saying who in the president, 22 are killed, innocently killed in November riot. What action has been taken for those officers, whether police or soldiers, that innocently killed these people? Because we have the capacity, CCTVs were there to record all these events. What action has been taken for those officers that innocently killed these people? Then the third is, Major General Okech, he issued a few weeks ago, I think it's not even a fortnight, warning about people making arrests in the numberless vehicles without number plates, and they must identify themselves. And the same statement or warning had been issued by the IGP in the past month, I think, in office, for these people to identify and the vehicles must be. But this has continued. Don't you think, how do you feel that your orders are being defined as police chief?
Thank you very much. Since you have kind of apportioned this question, Joseph, you specifically raised questions for the Minister of Defense and the General Affairs to respond. I would therefore like to begin by requesting my colleague to respond to this.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kato raised the two questions for my attention. One of them was to the effect that some presidential candidates have reason to cast doubt on the outcome because of the statements some of our officials have made. I would like to say that UPDF is an institution. UPDF is an institution. It's not a private entity. It's not even a political party. UPDF is UPDF. It is the National Army of Uganda, and it has a structure, a very well elaborate institutionalized structure. It has a spokesperson, but also there are individuals in UPDF who have individual opinions, and they are also Ugandans. And therefore, I would like to say that the institutional policy of UPDF is that they are there to defend Uganda as a country. They are there to keep the peace and stability of this country. They are not party to the disagreements among political players. They are not party to that. Their job is to keep peace and stability of the country. And they are doing that very well, and they will continue to do that very, very well. And therefore, the election is for all Ugandans. And elections have a rule. And you should also study the trend of elections in Uganda. If really UPDF was leading to one of the candidates, or if NRM wanted to rig the election, our candidate in 1996, our candidate of NRM, now I'm speaking as NRM, scored 75% in 1996. We did not say he has got 99% like it happens in some areas. People would cast doubt on that. He scored, there is a point where he scored 58%. I think it was like in 2006. And we declared those results. Candidate President Yoweri Museveni scored 58% in 2006. Elections were declared by the Electoral Commission. There was no attempt to manufacture the results beyond 58, which he got. Last round, 2016, he scored 68%, and they were declared as such. So really, there is no institutional policy of UPDF that some candidates are preferred against others. All that UPDF is interested in is a system of having a free and fair election and no compromise to the peace and stability of Uganda. If you are looking for votes, look for votes, but do not interfere with the security and stability of the country. Then there you will be crossing into the battle line of UPDF if you attempt to compromise the peace and stability of Uganda. So I would like to answer it that way. Secondly, the alleged handling of some civilians by the soldiers during the riots. But I outlined in my statement the wrong things and criminal acts which were done by elements in the opposition. You are not commenting on this. I have not had anybody asking them, why did people undress women? This has not been raised. Why did a member of NUP come out with a hammer to hurt a police officer?
Cutting the hand of a woman in Noya.
Cutting the hand of a woman in Noya for her political views. Nobody is commenting on this. I have seen political actors from NUP attacking police officers. This can only happen in Uganda. It can't happen anywhere in any jurisdiction, because police is supposed to be respected and obeyed under all circumstances. Because if a police officer says stop, don't move beyond this point, you cannot say I'm going to move. Whoever you are, even if it was in my position as a minister, if police advises me, Honorable Minister, for the reasons this and this, you will not take this route, you will take this route, I obey. Because if there is any institution which should be obeyed, and respected, it should be the security forces of this country. So really, yes, the police officers or the army officers who could have mistreated the civilians during the riots will be investigated. I cannot give you an answer now. Investigations will be done and a decision will be taken on the basis of evidence. But we would also like to clearly condemn the acts which provoked the police or the army to behave the way it did. And I did outline them in my statement. Now, somebody talked about civilians being tried in court-martial. The law is very clear. The UPDF Act is very, very clear. If you are a civilian, but you engage in acts which are the preserve of the army, or you possess weapons or equipment which is designated for the army, gazetted for the army, because equipment for the army is designated, it's clear in the law, then you are subject to military law. This is the law. This is the law of Uganda. It is written in the UPDF Act. So therefore, don't be surprised when its judgment, police says this is a case for which we shall prosecute in the military courts, or this is a case which will go to the civilian courts. That is what makes the difference. If you are a civilian but you carry weapons, which are the exclusive preserve of the armed forces, then the law says you will be tried in the military court-martial. It is a law. It's not a creation of the police or the army. It is in the law. And I would like to advise our people, please avoid engaging in acts which are meant for the army. Because there must be division of labor. If everybody in this country is going to carry arms, then we will have a state of anarchy. That is why arms are the preserve of the armed forces. The armed forces are well known and listed. The army, the police, the prisons, the auxiliary forces, even the auxiliary forces are provided for in the law, in the constitution. The local defense units are not just there because the army or police or police has created them. They are backed by law. So that is the reason why you see civilians being tried in army courts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Patrick, you had asked the Commissioner General to explain something. Maybe let me take the opportunity to ask the Commissioner General.
Thank you very much.
When we were preparing to produce suspects in court, in other words, I've been tweeting about this, that I sent 2 buses to Masaka to ferry the suspects to court for I think, bail application. I didn't know there was a court-martial production warrant at the prison. So it would have been of no help to take suspects to court and then bring them back to custody. You just take those who have no encumbrance, as let me use that word, and explain to the chief magistrate that I have a production warrant for 49 for a court in Kampala, a military court. That's what we did. Quite legitimate. Avoiding double work. You take 99 to court and then remove 49, bring them back to the prison. Why we saw those logistics? So we did, I would call it a shortcut, a legal shortcut to make sure that these people who are designated to appear in Kampala are again not ferried to court. That was all. I think we should also engage the judiciary you should also engage the court martial to get clarification on some of these things. Thank you, sir.
So Patrick, your question is that there was nothing untoward being done. All the legal processes followed. Those who appeared on the court martial did so before what they had committed was by law acquirable by the court martial. Now, Ivan, you raised a concern about some of the pictures that have appeared in the social media regarding actions of elements of the police which seemed to be embarrassing. Now, all of us have seen these pictures. All of us have noted. We have had an opportunity internally to discuss. Maybe let me ask the Inspector General of Police to add a little more where we now stand in relation to that. But before he does that, you also raised the question on social media propaganda. As security, we take note of this with a lot of concern. We are working with the regulators of the communication sector to see how best we can harness and manage the social media in Uganda. The challenge, of course, is you are traditional media houses. The law is very clear how you are dealt with, but the challenge that the social media presents is that they are a world of their own. As if that is not enough, we are now faced with the challenge of what we call citizen journalism. You take a note of this. We are discussing how best to handle it because we do know social media propaganda is certainly not to the best of this country's security. But we will deal with it. We take note of it. But let me turn back to the Inspector General of Police just to help us understand where are we now specifically in relation to that incident.
Well, thank you, the police management here, the leadership, has been very concerned about those incidents which look embarrassing. I think the problem has been command and control, lack of command and control. We have always told these officers who were seconded to the Electoral Commission and were given as escorts to presidential candidates. We have told them at any one time, wherever you are, there must be command and control. When you are at a district with your principal, you are under the command of the DPC in that area. You don't act on your own as though the principal is your commander. No, you are being commanded by the DPC of that area. So these incidents have occurred out of, I think, lack of consciousness by those escorts. I want to assure the country that we have taken action. In those instances, we have had to arrest them, arrest all those involved, and replace them. The Professional Standards Unit is investigating those cases, and definitely, depending on the evidence, we shall prosecute them in our disciplinary courts. Whether you are the DPC, whether you are the escort of a principal, whether you are who, we don't take it lightly. And I think the DIG is following it as someone in charge of discipline as well. Now, Honorable Minister, Mr. Sudhir, I thought Sudhir was the Muyindi.
Sudhir Biarohanga made a submission that security targets the media. Actually, it is the contrary. It is the media targeting security. The media would like to portray security as being brutal, as being against the government itself. I think this is very unfortunate, and we must put it clear. As the Honorable Minister for Defense said, even him, a minister, if police was to tell him, Honorable Minister, stop here, don't use this route, he will stop and respect it. All over the country. There was a time I think we went to China with the Honorable Minister here. We reached a traffic light, red, only one vehicle. We were there. But here you go to Nakawa, this thing here. Red lights, people are driving. Respect the law. So what I'm saying, when we tell a journalist, please don't go there, you are insisting you want to go and get the news there. That's what happens. Cooperate with us. We need you. We need you. You need us. It is not that we are targeting the media. No. We are trying to protect your lives. We are telling you there's a danger there. For you are insisting you must go where there's a danger. Yes, we shall beat you for your own sake. To help you understand that don't go there. Yes, we shall use reasonable force to ensure that you don't go where there's a risk. That's what I have no apology. Actually, you are saying, is the police apologizing for mishandling journalists? My answer is, I'm very sorry, excuse me, we shall not apologize. But we shall continue helping you not to go where danger is. So I thought I would clarify that, Honorable Minister. And regarding the incident of these 23 who died and all this, the President directed the Director of CID to investigate. The matter is being investigated. We are analyzing the CCTV footages to identify who did what, so that at an appropriate time, the country will be informed. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, IGP. Just summarizing. Today, when you say target, there is an intention.
A forethought. And we are saying no. There is no intention to deliberately.
When you take away the card, what someone has done, and there is a fee, and the Constitution gives the right to do so, and they have not broken any law at all. And you capture, you take away the camera, they reach the footage that is on that camera. Already you're infringing on their rights, and they reach the motive to sabotage whatever they are doing. That's the reason behind it.
Now we are getting into the polemics, into an argument, and I think it is not fair.
I just wanted to make a clarification on that.
It's not fair, but the Deputy Inspector General of Police has been in the thick of this. Maybe we could get a feel from his actual experience.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir. Just to answer that, sir, there are even some of these journalists who have not been accredited. And yet you find they are on the campaign trail. Mr. Sudhir, we know what is happening. You find that some of these suspects that we have been arresting, you find that they have been streaming some of these news, not even from here. Others are doing it from Canada. And the Media Council has not even cleared it. We know this. And you also know that, Mr. Sudhir. With you, I know you're from a regulated media house. So our appeal could therefore be that you need to present her your accreditation whenever you are with us, so that you cooperate with the forces on the ground.
Madam Commissioner, I just want to add something to that.
Yes.
I think it was yesterday at Samoko, where we are at 70 of those now, I should call them now activists, putting on the press. But you as a media, and you as a police, if I take somebody putting on constitution, so what is that all people looking for? They are putting on the press. And you are not even up to today, you can't even
denounce it
and denounce. But it has been happening everywhere. You are looking on, I think it is okay, but you are able to identify these are not ours, but they are putting on the jacket written on press. Why don't you denounce? It's like we keep in track of seeing somebody.
Thank you very much. We are just completing.
Yes, sir. I also would like to make it very categorically clear here, sir, that I do not have a Twitter account, neither a Facebook. I don't have it. Get it now from me. I do not have it. Whatever you see there is fake. I would like to repeat this. I don't have a Twitter account, and I even don't intend to have one. So whatever you see outside there is fake. As an institution, and my minister has already put it very clear, we are not targeting any media house or the press. Instead, you are partners. We look at you as partners.
Not as people power to society.
Yes, true, there have been some incidences that my boss has already indicated. I can name you some two. One was in Photo and one was in Abim. That was against Honorable Mao. We have already taken action from our side, and we continue to investigate. The officer involved have been arrested and will be brought before the professional standard unit of the police. And then also we are also going to investigate the team that had been giving security to the presidential candidate. We also want to make this one very, very clear, crystal clear. All the officers who are guarding the presidential candidates are not working in isolation. Whenever they go into any area of responsibility, they are under command of the designated officer in that area, and they must report their presence to the commander on the ground. And that is what has been causing this problem. They work as if they're outside the law, or they're outside the command and control of the police. And that is what has been causing us some of these problems. And also acts of defiance. Some of the presidential candidates do not want to agree to cooperate with the security officers. You find a whole presidential candidate sitting on top of a vehicle, and none, even my friend Sudhir, cannot even criticize it and say this is wrong. Supposing you fall out and you die, whom are you going to blame? And if the traffic officer said this is an offense, the media house continues to magnify it and say it is the police which is in the wrong. I have never seen any of the media houses coming out to criticize the traffic offenses being created by some of these defiant presidential candidates, even if educating them. It is not there. You are only looking at fault one-sided. You have kept a blind eye on the other one. So you need to be very balanced because we are from the traditional media houses. You need to be very balanced in what you are giving the population, so that the population can have trust in what we get from you, the media. And sir, as I mentioned, in Uganda you think it is unexceptional. It is not. No country I mentioned is immune to riots and lawlessness. Again, even the most democratic country of recent, you have seen what is happening. I know you don't want to know about those ones, but you'll only say the Uganda police is the most brutal. That is not the right statement. We shall have a one-on-one, Mr. Sudhir, then I will tell you the most brutal police in the world when we get time. Just grab time and have an audience with you. Thank you very much.
Just to add on that, there is the allegation that the security targets the press. Really, that one is unfortunate. I don't remember sitting in any of the meetings planning on how to target the media. Actually, you are our partners. But all the reasons maybe for these clashes have already been pointed out. And of course, one of them is as a result of all of us trying to exercise our mandates. When this process was beginning, the East Electoral Commission clearly highlighted the SOPs, and I believe you have copies of them. And some candidates clearly said they were going to defy, and they went ahead and defied. Now you, in the line of your duty, you have also to cover those who are defying the SOPs. You have no choice but to cover everything. But also the security forces, the police, have a mandate to enforce. So when you are covering someone with a procession, someone who is outside of his car roof, which are against the law, but you are there covering, then the police comes to disperse the crowd, and they fire tear gas. How will tear gas say this one is media man, this one is, how will it? So in that manner, you get the share of the tear gas. But that is not because the police is targeting you. No, the police is actually pursuing their profession by enforcing the law. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Colleagues, as I said, we will continue, but because I have to run a long distance to catch up with another activity, we would like to bring this interaction to an end. But as we end, I'd like to make a few comments. One is that I would like to thank you, the press, for accepting to be with us here today and share concerns raised by our citizens, and to assure our citizens that all will be well. Two, I wanted also to take this very opportunity to dispel the erroneous thinking that the security forces are targeting certain sections. We do not seek to do that. We seek to ensure that all is okay. Peace and security is maintained. That is our concern. Obviously, in you fulfilling your mandate and us fulfilling our mandate, sometimes clashes do happen. But as we go along, we will be able to iron out those clashes. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity once again to appeal to Ugandans
who have in their minds the intention and the plan to cause chaos. Please do not do that. Uganda does not need chaos. But if you should insist and you proceed, I can assure you the security forces have been preparing, they are ready, and your insistence might be detrimental to you. So my advice is, desist from violence. Let us have a peaceful elections, because we will ensure we will have a peaceful elections. Finally, I want to wish all of us a peaceful, secure, and credible election come 14th of January. May God bless all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much, my brother.
Research shows that even though most children outgrow bedwetting on their own time, by the age of 5, 15% of children actually do still wet their beds. Of that 15%, about 6 to 8